T-Mobile Arena. Holy piss, dude. We were reluctant to give this a lot of play, at least on our podcast for a while, but over the last several weeks, as it inched closer to fruition, we've been talking about it more and more, and I'm not sure what you're doing on August 26th, but I know somehow, some way, you'll be sitting down somewhere and you'll be watching Floyd and Conor.
There's no doubt about that, dude. I mean, again, I said it last week on UFC Tonight. Like, what dimension are we living in? This is crazy that this could actually happen. And you know, the fact that Conor McGregor was able to drag out a retired Floyd Mayweather from boxing says a whole lot of how big of a star Conor McGregor is. The fact that, you know, this guy in a completely different sport, you know, wrecking shop, and Floyd Mayweather says he's done, and all of a sudden he's hearing, you know, Conor talk, and he sees how he builds a fight, and he says, that guy, that's the guy that I want to fight, and Conor wanted it as well. And you know, the crazy thing about this fight is, yes, it's a completely different sport, but I'm telling you, Conor McGregor 100% believes he's going to win that fight. He thinks he's going to knock out Floyd.
No doubt about it. Now, you were one of the first to really look at this from a Conor McGregor standpoint, and we're going to get to the fight and how competitive it will or won't be. And even as I ask the question, Kenny, about how competitive the fight will be, I can hear some people turning the podcast off. But in terms of this through a Conor McGregor lens, and I'm glad that this was your first thought, instead of my first thought being, man, am I going to be able to get Conor McGregor in some scenario at like plus 1,200? Instead, you're thinking, good for Conor, right? A guy who in 2013, in front of your eyes in Sweden, I believe it was, made his UFC debut, and here he is 4 years later, the $100 million man. And I think he not only deserves a credit for what he was able to accomplish inside the octagon in taking on all comers and beating Chad Mendes, his supposed Achilles heel with a torn ACL, by the way, everything he did, knocking out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds, backing up all the trash, selling pay-per-views like nobody in UFC history. Everything he's done inside the octagon, outside the octagon, has put him, as you said, on Floyd Mayweather's radar. And the number one reason Floyd is doing this fight, obviously, is because of money. And he couldn't have done it without Conor. Just absolutely remarkable what McGregor has been able to do here in a relatively short amount of time.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I don't think we'll see anyone else like Conor McGregor ever again. You know, and it's almost irrelevant, okay? It's almost irrelevant. How is Conor going to do against him? Listen, it's boxing. Floyd should win. Floyd should wipe him out of the water. He's one of the best boxers of all time. And that's why I said this is already a win for Conor to even put himself in this situation, to even put himself just to be able to negotiate this fight is remarkable. And the fact that he's here, this fight is signed, it's going to happen. Two of the best in their respective sports going at it in a boxing ring. Is just mind-blowing. And you know what? Just Conor, you know, every time you watch him fight, he brings it. He's going to go out there and look for a knockout. I don't think he's going to get it here against Floyd, but you know he's going to move forward and going to try to find Floyd's chin, and that's what makes it exciting. That's why a lot of people saying, well, I already know what's going to happen. I don't need to see that fight. No, you actually will see that fight. I guarantee you, and the build-up to this fight is going to be unlike any other.
A lot of people have taken strong stances, Kenny, on both sides of this. As far as the extremes are concerned, Max Kellerman from ESPN's First Take saying that Conor McGregor would not land a single punch. And then on the other side, you have friend of the program, Brendan Schaub, saying he'll bet $100,000 that Conor McGregor wins at least one round. So a lot of people are convicted one way or the other. As far as the betting line is concerned, right now Floyd Mayweather's the minus 800 favorite. Conor McGregor is at plus 516. I have really said if I'm going to bet on Conor McGregor, the magic number for me is like plus 800, plus 900. So I'm not seeing the value right now on Conor in that plus 500 area. What I find interesting, though, Kenny, 80% of the bets taken right now by Las Vegas have been McGregor bets, but 80% of the money has been on Floyd Mayweather. So no surprise, you have big sharks placing, you know, $40,000 and $50,000 bets on Floyd Mayweather in that minus 700, minus 800 range, and then you have a lot of small bets in volume of people, square types with all due respect, who are betting on Conor McGregor right now. So I've been texting you like nonstop. I wanted to know what % chance you think Conor McGregor has in this fight. And I know TJ DeSantis has done a lot of radio on this last week leading up to this, everybody has an opinion. The one opinion I've been most dismissive of is those who think Conor McGregor, Kenny, has a 0% chance to win. Because even if you think it is small, and I've maybe said he's got a 7 or 8% chance to win this fight, at least on paper, against Floyd Mayweather, to say he has a 0% chance is, in my mind, the only thing that's really not fair. I think even if you don't want to say that anything can happen in a combat sports setting, I still think based upon Conor's mental game and everything he's accomplished as a striker, you got to give him at least a 1% chance in 100 times to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I know, and I agree with that. I think you can't, when you get a guy who's a terrific fighter like Conor McGregor, and yes, it's a completely different sport, you can't say he's got a 0% chance. The guy, he knows how to read people very well. He knows how to get inside people's head very well. And the guy can punch. I mean, the guy can punch flat out. So anytime you get that kind of power, I think you got to have about a 10% chance. You know what I mean? And Conor, again, it wasn't enough for him to just make this fight. I truly believe he thinks he can win this fight. I think he thinks he can catch Floyd at some point during this fight.
We have a lot of time between now and August 26th to break down this fight from a technical standpoint. Some people would suggest there's really not much of a breakdown needed. There is some sparring footage out there on Conor McGregor right now. It isn't all that flattering. I don't know if it was planted by one of his training partners to try to maybe get a mixed message out there. Perhaps that's the conspiracy theorist in me. I don't know. It didn't look real good for Conor there. He's got some time to shore some things up. But there are a lot of things in terms of distance and stance that he's going to have a hard time making any sort of significant progress in, Kenny, between now and August 26th, right? I mean, it just would seem to a lot of people that you got one guy who's been boxing since he's 3 and one guy who is an outstanding MMA striker with an outstanding chin and a lot of power. But correct me if I'm wrong, there are certain things that he might need to not even really even go near when it comes to working on because there's not enough time to make appreciable progress.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think going against someone like Floyd, I mean, just defensively, he's someone who's he's an absolute master. He knows every single angle. He knows how to counterstrike in tight. He can counterstrike from the outside. His footwork is phenomenal. The micro adjustments that he's constantly making with his head and his feet. He's given so many guys trouble because of it, and he's taken more of a defensive approach later on in his career. Now, he has had more of an offensive approach early in his career. He used to break his hands a lot. I'm curious to see what kind of approach is he going to take against Conor. Is he thinking, do I want to protect this undefeated record? Do I want to go to 50-0? Or is it more just about me making this money fight, making this fun fight between a guy that I know I'm going to blow out of the water and I can get really aggressive and kind of move forward, something I didn't have to do against a lot of other guys? Is he going to take that approach? I don't know. He might. And in doing that, he can make himself susceptible to getting caught by Conor McGregor.
A lot of different things can happen inside that ring. I'm most concerned from Conor's standpoint with the perceived speed discrepancy. I think Floyd Mayweather's just going to be the much faster guy. We know how precise Conor is with his hands. But that is the primary concern for me from McGregor's standpoint, is how does he deal with the speed of Floyd.
And John, just to go back to your other point, I mean, that the sparring footage that was released, I think it was Chris Van Herdeen. Is that what?
I think so.
And there was some footage of Conor kind of putting the hurt on him as well. And I know Chris claims, he was obviously out of boxing shape and all this stuff. But originally the footage came out that Conor was kind of kicking his ass originally. And now he, released another video saying, Conor didn't land on me, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it was, I think Conor can do well against pro boxers. Can he do well against Floyd Mayweather? That's another guy.
So I pushed out a couple tweets and got absolutely hammered. And I'm not making any sort of case for Conor McGregor because the UFC cuts my paycheck, right? I can assure you I'm not selling any pay-per-views here, right? I've never sold a pay-per-view in my life. I mean, maybe with the 209 tattoo, Kenny, I sold like 25 or 30 pay-per-views way back in the day, but I doubt it, okay? So I'm not being paid by the UFC to take a pro-UFC stance. I have actually covered more Floyd Mayweather fights in my career as a journalist than I have been in the building for Conor McGregor fights, so I do come at this from a couple of different sides. But here was the tweet I pushed out that I got most hammered to, and we're going to talk to Kevin Iole here in a couple minutes. So I wrote, on record as a longtime Mayweather supporter, just saying if I'm trying to get to 50-0, McGregor would not be the guy I'd want to fight. So And again, I probably lost 20 followers within 30 seconds. All right. But just hear me out on this. And maybe it sounds a little crazy in 140 characters. But the primary reason for Floyd taking this fight with Conor is because Conor represents far and away the biggest money fight for Floyd at present. So I'm not saying that if I'm trying to get to 50-0, then, and that's my primary goal, that I would want to fight Triple G. I mean, you stay as far away from that guy as humanly possible. I'm not even saying that I would want to fight a previously outmatched Canelo Alvarez if I'm trying to get to 50-0. I want the easiest fight possible. And I just think there are a lot of unknowns and variables when it comes to fighting any MMA fighter, never mind someone like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that it's an interesting matchup. It's one that could pose some problems, especially early on, perhaps because of the fact that it's a completely different rhythm that boxers are used to. Boxers are used to boxing boxers. Wow. Well, it's amazing analysis there, Kenny. But that it's just the truth. You know, you get a guy who moves a little bit different, like a Conor McGregor. And Conor really moves unlike anybody else that we've seen in mixed martial arts, really. You know, you see guys kind of trying to copy that same rhythm and style. But unless you're really used to it, and then you get a guy who's talking shit to you while the fight is going on, you know, I don't know if that's something that Floyd's necessarily used to. Now, if it's hands on hands, if it's just boxing, the only thing you could throw are your hands. I mean, again, Floyd's going to have a chance. Again, Floyd's going to be able to smash anybody within 10 or 15, maybe 20 pounds of his weight. It doesn't matter. He's just that good. Now, you know, Conor is going to be significantly bigger. Conor's going to cut down to 154, and he'll probably be back up to about 171. Floyd will not. Floyd will be barely making that 154 mark.